What's up, everyone? So this is the first vlog of the Learning the Lanes series, and I'm excited to start vlogging about this project now. I've put out a couple little time lapses, but now we're going to start vlogging. So what am I doing here today? I am sitting here in an excavator building a driveway, and to be quite honest, we didn't realize building driveways was this hard. You grab an excavator, you move around a bunch of dirt and rock, and while it is pretty much exactly that, there's a lot more that kind of goes into it than you might think. Water's a big one, so drainage and where your water tables are once you start digging into the dirt. So I'm here on the property that we bought in Nova Scotia and trying to build that driveway. Now this property is 111 acres, so it's not a small property, but I have no qualms with going into how much we paid for it. So for 111 acres in Nova Scotia near the ocean, we're not oceanfront, but we got it for $50,000. Okay, so 50,000 Canadian dollars, that's like 30,000 US, right? So really a relatively affordable property, especially for the size, really, really affordable. This is one of the reasons we came to Nova Scotia, so we can buy, a nice big property for relatively cheaply and develop it ourselves. However, this property was, aside from two culverts, two driveways, the start of two driveways near the road, this property was and is completely undeveloped. And we thought, oh, we're just going to put in a gravel driveway, lay down some gravel, be a couple $1,000 with the excavator, and we can have access to where we want to build. No. So this property is relatively flat. There are some hills on it, some smaller hills that are good for building, but a lot of the property, the water table is pretty close to the surface. We're building the driveway right now. Basically, it's about 400 feet or so to a hill, which is a great spot for a potential house site or cabin site. We can probably clear about 1 to 2 acres on the top of the hill and have like a really good spot. So that hill is angling down towards the road, right? And then the road comes up. So water's kind of getting trapped near the road. So this whole area that I'm sitting in right now is relatively wet. The driveway needs to be built up a ton. So we've had a bunch of gravel trucks come in, and we've had 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 loads so far of gravel to build this up, and then I've started ditching the sides. Now I'm almost there. I'm almost to where the hill starts to slant up a little bit more and it gets a lot less sketchy. But I'm thinking maybe 2, 3 more gravel loads and we'll basically be like in the clear as far as being through the wet area and allowing drainage. So let me show you guys what I got going on. So there's the road right there, and then you guys can see I've ditched both sides, and we've got water draining, which is good. It actually rained 2 days ago, and it rained a lot. It rained a ton, so this is really good that it's draining well. And then this is all the gravel that's been laid down, compacted by the excavator, and then today we're going to be working on that section right there that you guys might be able to see is a little softer. There's not very much gravel there right now, and what is there kind of mixed with the soil, the native soil. So this is obviously needs more gravel here, right? And then I'm actually going to be working on moving this junk pile back, because I cleared all these trees with the excavator, which was really fun. But obviously it leaves all this junk wood that's going to be cut up into firewood and whatnot eventually, but I need to get this moved back. So today I'm going to be working on cleaning up the sides, and there's the hill up there. So that's where we're going to be building, but we need to be able to get a vehicle through this. And so far, I could get pretty much, a normal car through all of this, all the way up to probably about here. This needs to be built up some more so that we can get the van and the Subaru all the way up the hill and, build a cabin. But like I said, today I'm gonna be moving this junk pile back farther and ditching better along the sides. And that ditch is too deep. It's holding water right there. So I've got to actually shallow out that ditch a bit. I got to make sure all of this is draining properly and is relatively solid, because tomorrow I've got a few more trucks of gravel coming to fill this in, and then we should be home free. We should have a driveway that is able to be driven on by a vehicle relatively reliably, and then, you know, we'll have access, which is so important. Not having access to the hill has been tough, and we didn't get it on film, but Randy got stuck in the mud. Morgan got stuck in the mud at one point when we were just trying to like visit the property. So yeah, so let's do it. All right, everybody, it is the next morning and the ground's pretty frozen, which is good. And I'm waiting on gravel trucks to come to fill in that little spot back there. Let me show you. So this is the area that is still a little bit soft. I've kind of supported it a little bit with some logs going horizontally, but not too many, because I know once they start rotting underneath the driveway, it's going to cause an issue. So mainly just kind of like temporary support. They will eventually cause a little bit of an issue, but then you can just fill it back in with gravel. But for right now, I just need a drivable driveway. Drivable driveway. So it's just basically from here down to about this area is where I need to fill in more. And then once I do that, I can ditch better. I did move this pile back a bit yesterday, and I can move it back even farther once I get this area stabilized. So the issue is I can't really work on this side until this is not super wet, because what happens is when you're sitting here with the excavator and you're working that pile, the excavator is just digging into the ground more and more and more. And then you tear up the ground, you get stuck. It's just not a good situation. So this needs to be stabilized before I can work on that. And then once everything is nice and stable, I can work on moving the driveway a little bit more this way, because it's curving a lot right there, because I went around that rock and ditched around that rock. And you know, I need to fill in this ditch more, as well as this one, and help push that water back downhill, because I was trying to get a bunch of material to build up the driveway, but honestly the material's not that great. It's kind of soft. So, and that's what you see here. That's the natural soil that I dug from right there. But I dug too deep into this side, so I need to fill it back up. One thing I learned is that when you ditch, the ditch needs to be the same depth all the way down. Even if you're going downhill, it needs to be the same depth so that the water can drain, right? And I basically ditched it so that it was flat, and only this had a slope to it. So that created, you know, a little pond right there. But it's all good. I'm learning. Just got to fill. I'm going to push material in from here and fill all that in. And I've already done a little bit of that, as you guys can see. And then same thing here. Probably going to pull some material from here, put it in this ditch. So moving stuff around. That's what construction is, right? You're just moving things from one place to another with heavy machinery. I'll tell you what, running a mini excavator is certainly a lot of fun. Now here you can see me just moving that material from that pile that was dumped to the soft area right here. And now this is what is called up here 6-inch minus. This is basically rock that is, I believe, an average of 6 inches mixed in with sand. Really good for building up wet areas like this, and you know, that's exactly what I'm using it for. All right, everybody, we are there. We've got past the sketchy part. We've got big gravel down. The soil and the road is stabilized basically all the way up to the hill where we're going to be building the cabin. So now the job is just about kind of cleaning up what we're doing. I do have a couple more loads of gravel coming in because I want to build this up a little bit more, maybe widen this a bit, as well as to run a bit of gravel up this area right here with the native soil, because even though, you know, I built this up from that ditch right there, this soil kind of soaks up water a little more than I'd like. So we're gonna run some gravel through it, get it a little bit more stable as well, and then work on these ditches, work on these scrub piles, and probably straighten the road a little bit. It's a little curvy, but that's kind of a side project. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way it's coming out. Getting this driveway built up and stabilized and dry is huge. It's absolutely huge. I mean, it was a mud pit before this. To the fact that I can now safely drive the excavator over everything, as well as potentially a car without sinking in, is a big deal. There's the truck, and it's 11:34, so we might actually have time to get 2 more loads after this one. That'd be great. You might notice that the color and shape of this rock is different than the prior 2 loads, and I'm actually glad for that, because I've been using different companies to deliver gravel to this property, mainly because it's winter here in Nova Scotia, and a lot of these companies basically, they deliver and they work in the summer, but in the winter typically they're fishing, because lobster season is actually in the winter. So a lot of the people that work up here and do this kind of work have multiple jobs. They fish in the winter and they do construction excavation type stuff in the summer, spring, and you know, a little bit of fall. Now, it took me a little bit, but I did find a good small local business that does this kind of work, that doesn't fish and, you know, does this full time. So that's the company I'm using right now, and they were super nice. They were delivering me the 6" minus. They delivered 2 loads, but then the driver was like, hey, you know what, we actually have our own pit of shale, and we think that would be a pretty good material for what you need here. It might be even a little bit better than the 6" minus you're using, and it's going to be about half the cost, because it's their own pit, so they're basically selling it to us directly. So I asked them to go ahead and bring me a load, and yeah, the stuff is awesome, and it's less than half the cost of the stuff that I've been using. So I wish I had known this a little bit earlier, but you know what? You live and learn, and this is great material that I'll be using from here on out. So I'm happy that they made that recommendation. This is huge. Got the Subaru up the hill, and we built a road that we can drive at least I almost fell, that we can drive at least a symmetrical all-wheel drive Subaru up. That's a start. Take a look at what's going on. Subaru. And there we have it. Just drove the Subaru up this hill. No issues whatsoever. I don't know if I'd do it with a two-wheel drive car. Maybe I might. With the right tires. Maybe with the van it'd probably work. But this is definitely a good start. So now what I need to do is I need to change that bucket out and work on these scrub piles and make sure these ditches are good before we return the excavator, because it's just about time to return the excavator, which is sad. But you know, this is pretty much what we'll do for the winter, and then come spring we'll finish the driveway, I think.
Who's gonna carry the boots and the logs?